So, if you are looking for the center of the political universe right now,
Like this very second.
right, this very second on Thursday, February 26th, 2026, you honestly don't need to bother turning on the cameras in the Capitol Rotunda.
Yeah, you really don't.
And you don't need to look at the White House briefing room either.
No.
You actually need to look at a quiet, tree-lined driveway in Chappaqua, New York.
Which is usually the exact kind of place you go specifically to avoid the center of the political universe.
Usually, yeah. I mean,
Usually.
totally. But today, that driveway is essentially the staging ground for, well, one of the most high-stakes legal collisions of the decade, honestly.
Without a doubt.
Because we're talking about former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton
Great.
sitting for a closed-door videotaped deposition. And this is with the Republican-led House Oversight Committee.
Regarding, of course, the Jeffrey Epstein investigation.
Right, which is, a topic that generates massive amounts of heat.
Massive.
But usually very little actual light.
And that is exactly the problem. I mean, the signal-to-noise ratio on this is just terrible.
Yeah.
You have these wild conspiracy theories on one side, and then absolute silence on the other side, and the actual facts just get completely lost in the middle.
Which is exactly why we are doing this Dup Type today for you listening, because we have pulled the actual transcripts of the opening statements.
We've got the reports on the questioning.
Right. And we have the procedural history that actually forced this to happen in the first place. So our mission here is to strip away the spin.
We are definitely not doing the whole hot take thing today.
No, absolutely not. We are looking strictly at the source material. You want to know, what exactly did she say under oath?
Right.
How did Congress force a former First Lady to testify in her own living room?
Yeah, which is wild.
And maybe most importantly, why is what happens tomorrow potentially even bigger?
And that context is just so vital, because this isn't just about relitigating the early 2000s or digging up old gossip. This is an active, ongoing stress test on the American political system, and it is happening right now.
Right now. So whether you are just catching up on the evening news cycle, or maybe you've been doom scrolling all day trying to figure out what's real.
Which we've all been doing.
Exactly. Let's organize this chaos.
Let's get into the room.
So first, I think we have to talk about the format of this whole thing.
Yeah, the setup.
Because I think people hear the phrase congressional testimony and they immediately picture Benghazi.
Right. They picture the cameras flashing.
And members of Congress screaming over each other to get a viral clip.
Live cable news coverage all day.
Exactly. But that is not what happened today.
No. And that is a really critical distinction to make right off the bat.
Yeah.
This was a closed-door deposition.
Okay, so for the non-lawyers listening, why does that distinction matter so much? Is it really just about the secrecy of it?
No, it actually changes the entire dynamic of the interrogation.
How so?
Well, in a public hearing, the goal is often theater, right? A congressman asks a question, interrupts the witness, and basically tries to get a soundbite for their next campaign ad.
Right, it's a performance.
Exactly. But in a closed-door deposition, the goal is usually a perjury trap.
A perjury trap.
Yes. You have staff attorneys in there, so actual lawyers, not politicians.
Right.
And they are asking these precise, repetitive, honestly boring questions for hours on end.
Just grinding it out.
Yeah, they're trying to catch you in a contradiction.
Oh, I see.
They want to get you to say something that conflicts with a document they already have in their hand, but they just haven't shown you yet.
So it's a legal grinder. It's not a TV show.
Exactly.
And this is the detail that really jumped out at me from the reports we were looking at. It was videotaped.
Yes, it was.
So the visual record actually exists. It's just sitting in a vault somewhere for now.
And that is the ticking time bomb in all of this.
Right.
We will definitely get to that later. But just remember for now, even though we didn't see it live, the camera was absolutely rolling.
Okay, so let's get into the actual substance, the testimony itself. Because I was reading through the excerpts of her opening statement and the leaks regarding the questioning. And the strategy from Clinton seemed just incredibly disciplined. It was like a wall.
It was. But it was a very specific type of wall. If you look at the exact phrasing from the source material, she didn't just go in there and say, I don't know anything.
Right.
She used a very specific phrase. She said she had no information to share regarding criminal activity.
No information to share. That just sounds like heavy legal armor to me.
Oh, this is the best armor you can possibly buy.
Yeah.
Think about it. If she says, I never saw anything weird.
Then that's subjective.
Exactly. It's entirely subjective.
Yep.
But if she says, I have no information to share regarding crimes, She is taking the burden and placing it right back on the questioner.
Wow.
She's essentially saying, look, I may have been there, I may have seen people, but I saw nothing that I recognized as illegal.
So it creates this massive buffer zone around her.
A huge buffer zone.
Right. And then regarding the man himself, Jeffrey Epstein, she basically went for the total wipeout defense.
Yeah, she did.
She explicitly denied ever flying on his plane.
Yeah.
She denied visiting the island or the ranches.
Which, contradicts a lot of the internet lore out there.
Definitely.
But she said it under oath.
But then she said something else that really made me pause when I read it. She stated she does not recall ever meeting him.
Yeah, that is the sticky part.
Does not recall. I mean, that is the classic Washington's safety valve, isn't it?
Oh, 100%.
I feel like I've heard that phrase in literally every major political scandal for the last 30 years.
It is the ultimate safety valve. And here is exactly why lawyers love it. If you go in and say, no, I never met him,
right,
and then a photo surfaces tomorrow of you shaking his hand at some gala in 1999.
then you've committed perjury.
Exactly. You could technically go to jail for that.
Right, because you lied under oath.
But if you say, I don't recall, and that exact same photo surfaces,
then what?
well, you just have a bad memory. I mean, you're a high-profile politician. You meet thousands of people who can realistically remember one random handshake from 20 years ago.
So it's a completely plausible legal defense.
Exactly. Even if the public finds it really hard to swallow, legally, it works.
It just feels so slippery, though. It feels like this calculated way to avoid the truth without technically lying.
Well, that is exactly what a deposition defense is designed to do.
Fair point.
It isn't about satisfying the public's curiosity. It is entirely about surviving the room without getting an indictment.
Okay, so she doesn't recall Epstein. But then we have to talk about Ghislaine Maxwell.
Right.
Because this is where the whole I don't recall defense hits a massive speed bump.
It really does.
Because you can't really sit there and claim you don't remember a woman who was a literal guest at your daughter's wedding.
No, you absolutely cannot. That is a bridge too far, even for a deposition.
Right.
And if you look at the source material, she didn't even try to deny that connection entirely. She acknowledged what she called limited contact.
Limited contact. I'm actually looking at the list of interactions they cited in the report right now. And the 2010 wedding of Chelsea Clinton is obviously the big one.
It is the glaring one, yeah.
I mean, think about that as a listener. A wedding is intimate.
Yeah.
You are heavily vetting that guest list. You are just inviting some random person you met once at a fundraiser to your only daughter's wedding.
You are absolutely right. And that is exactly where the Oversight Committee tried to drill down today.
Yeah.
Their argument is basically, you do not invite a limited contact to the most important day of your daughter's family life unless there is a much deeper relationship there.
Right. They pushed her on this.
They definitely pushed her.
And so how did she handle that tension? Because limited contact and wedding guests just do not seem to match up in reality.
She handled it by drawing a really hard line between social proximity and criminal awareness.
Oh, interesting.
Her testimony effectively says, yes, she was in my orbit socially,
right,
just as she was for, frankly, many powerful people in New York at the time.
Yeah.
But I knew nothing of the sex trafficking ring.
So it's a compartmentalization defense.
Precisely. She was a donor, she was a socialite, she was at the events.
But the crimes were hidden.
Exactly. Her crimes were hidden from me. That's the stance.
Got it.
And she wasn't passive about this at all. The reports on her actual tone in the room are really fascinating.
Yeah.
She wasn't, cowering in the corner. She attacked the very premise of the entire investigation.
Oh, right. She called it a partisan fishing expedition.
Yes.
Which, to be fair, is exactly what everyone expected her to say.
Sure. But remember, in a deposition, you usually want to be as boring as possible.
Right. You want to be gray.
Exactly. Be gray. Be unmemorable. But the fact that she actively went on the offensive and framed the committee itself as a political weapon.
It shows she wasn't just defending herself legally.
Right. She's defending herself politically. She is actively trying to delegitimize the very people asking the questions.
But, here's the question I just kept asking myself while reading through all this today.
What's that?
Why now?
Wow.
I mean, we have known about the Epstein connections for years. Why is she sitting in a chair in Chappaqua in late February 2026?
Right.
This didn't just happen because they sent her a polite email asking if she was free on a Thursday afternoon.
Oh, absolutely not. No, this was a brawl.
A brawl. Wow.
A total procedural street fight that has literally been going on for months behind the scenes.
So the Clintons really fought this?
Tooth and nail.
Wow.
Initially, the legal team for the Clintons just said, no, we aren't doing this. We will gladly give you a written statement instead.
Which is pretty standard, right?
Very standard.
Keep it on paper, have the lawyers write every single word, and there is zero risk of a slip-up on video.
Exactly. But the House Oversight Committee, which is led by the GOP, they just weren't accepting the standard playbook this time around.
Okay.
They escalated things dramatically. They played the contempt of Congress card.
Whoa! That's the nuclear option.
It is the nuclear option. And we really need to explain what that actually means for people listening.
Yeah, please do.
Because I think people hear contempt of Congress, and they just think it's like a strongly worded letter or a fine.
Right, like a slap on the wrist.
Exactly. But it is not. Not anymore. We have seen this used with brutal effectiveness over the last few years.
Specifically with figures like Steve Bannon.
Right.
And Peter Navarro.
Exactly.
They actually went to prison.
They did. The precedent has firmly been set that if you ignore a congressional subpoena now, you can actually face criminal charges.
And real jail time.
Real jail time. It is no longer just some idle political threat.
So the threat to the Clintons wasn't empty at all.
It wasn't empty, and their legal team knew it wasn't empty.
Wow.
They realized the optics of a former Secretary of State being formally held in contempt.
And potentially indicted by the DOJ.
Right. That was far worse than the risk of just doing the deposition.
Yeah.
So they cut a deal.
What was the deal?
We will testify, but we do it on our turf in Chappaqua, not in D.C.
Okay, that makes so much more sense now. And all of this is stemming from that massive DOJ document dump, right? The Epstein files?
Correct. The Department of Justice released that massive trove of records a while back.
Right.
And the House decided to use that to launch a very broad review. Their stated goal is to figure out who knew what and when.
Right.
But, and here is where we really have to pivot.
I know exactly where you're going with this, because today was definitely interesting.
Yeah.
But tomorrow is genuinely historic.
If today was just the prologue, tomorrow is the absolute main event.
Yeah.
Former President Bill Clinton is scheduled to sit for his own deposition tomorrow, Friday, February 27th.
I really want to pause on that for a second so you listening can just absorb that. We kind of breezed past it.
Yeah.
A former president of the United States being compelled to testify to Congress about a sex trafficking ring.
It is honestly hard to overstate the gravity of that fact.
Has this ever even happened, I mean, really, in history?
In this specific way, no. It's almost unprecedented in the modern era.
Right.
I mean, we have these deeply held concepts of executive privilege.
Sure.
We have the dignity of the office. Usually, former presidents are treated with this level of deference that basically makes them untouchable.
Right. You just don't drag a former commander-in-chief into a windowless deposition room.
You really don't.
Yeah.
But that contempt threat changed the entire calculus for him, too.
It did. And the stakes for him have to be arguably much, much higher.
Oh, significantly higher.
Why is that? Just because he was the president and she was Secretary of State?
Partially that. But mostly it's the nature of the allegations themselves.
Okay.
With Hillary, the accusations in the public sphere were always somewhat vague, right?
Yeah, social proximity of the wedding guest thing.
Exactly. Guilt by association. But with Bill Clinton, the public sphere has been filled with much more specific allegations for years now.
Right. We've all heard about the flight logs.
The flight logs. We've heard about very specific trips to Africa.
Yeah.
So Hillary goes first today. She sets the tone. She maybe tests the legal waters.
And then Bill has to walk into that room tomorrow knowing that every single answer he gives is being cross-referenced against literally decades of rumors.
Decades of rumors. Flight manifests. Secret Service logs.
Wow.
It is a massive stress test for the very institution of the presidency.
Because if he stumbles...
If he stumbles, or if he gets caught in a demonstrable lie.
The fallout is just unimaginable.
Completely unimaginable.
It really puts today's testimony from Hillary in a totally different light, doesn't it? It's almost like she was the advance team.
Or the first line of defense.
Exactly. Now, we can't ignore the raw politics of this either.
No, we definitely can't.
I mean, we are looking at this right now through the lens of history and law.
Right.
But for most people out there listening to the news, this is just pure red team versus blue team warfare.
It really is like two different movies playing on the exact same screen.
That is a great way to put it. Let's look at the GOP movie first. Representative James Comer is the one running the show for the committee. Now, if you ask him what he's doing, he is certainly not saying, I'm hunting the Clintons.
No. His public narrative is justice denied.
Right.
The GOP argument, looking at these same sources, is that the justice system fundamentally failed.
Okay.
They argue Epstein just got a slap on the wrist originally.
Which is true.
Right. And then he used that freedom to build a massive network of influence. They are saying the DOJ didn't do its job back then, so Congress has to step in now.
So they frame it as, we are the last line of defense for the victims. We are the ones finding the truth that the elite institutions tried to hide.
Exactly. They're explicitly looking for three things.
Which are?
1, how did he get that level of influence? 2, why did the federal prosecutions fail so spectacularly?
Right.
And 3, what did the powerful people, specifically the Clintons in this case, actually know about his network?
And they argue that the only way to ensure this never happens again is to completely expose the network that protected him.
That is the GOP stance, yes.
Okay, so that's movie A. Now flip the channel.
Let's flip it.
What is the Democrat response to this? What is the Clinton camp saying about the exact same events?
They call it a weaponization of government.
Okay.
They look at the exact same facts, the exact same depositions, and they say, this is not about justice at all. This is pure deflection.
Deflection from what, exactly?
From other powerful figures, specifically former President Donald Trump.
Right, because obviously his name has also appeared in the Epstein context over the years.
Correct. So the Clinton argument is basically, why are you dragging us to Chappaqua, threatening us with literal jail time,
Right.
while completely ignoring the exact same connections on your own side of the political aisle?
They see it as a targeted hit job just designed to muddy the waters.
Completely. Their view is that the GOP simply wants to create this powerful visual of the Clintons under federal investigation.
Oh, to balance out the legal troubles of their own party leader?
Exactly. To create an equivalence in the public mind.
So one side sees this noble quest for accountability, and the other side sees a totally partisan witch hunt designed to protect the GOP's own flank.
Yep. And you, the listener, are basically stuck right in the middle, trying to parse the actual truth from all the spin.
Which is exactly why we just report both sides and leave it to you.
Right.
And speaking of parsing the truth, before we wrap this up, I really want to go back to one very specific detail you mentioned right at the start.
The video.
The video, the lingering variable in all of this.
It's huge.
Because we are sitting here reading dry transcripts right now.
Right.
We are parsing words like recall and limited contact, but eventually those tapes are going to leak.
Oh, they always do.
Or they will be released officially by the committee.
Exactly. It might be in a week, it might be in 6 months, but that footage will absolutely come out.
And that changes everything, doesn't it?
It completely changes the public consumption of the event. I mean, let's be real. In 2026, nobody sits down and reads a 300-page legal transcript.
No. But everyone watches a 15-second clip on TikTok.
Exactly. When you just read the words, "I don't recall," on a piece of paper, it sounds like a lawyer talking.
Right. It sounds very dry, very safe.
But when you actually see a former first lady look into a camera, shift in her seat, maybe look down at the table, pause for 3 seconds, and then say it.
Oh, wow. Then the body language actually becomes the testimony.
It becomes performance art.
That's a great way to describe it.
And both sides absolutely know that.
Sure.
The Republicans want the clip of the Clintons looking uncomfortable. They want them looking evasive.
Right.
And the Clintons, on the flip side, likely spent weeks prepping not just their verbal answers, but their actual faces.
Controlling every microexpression.
Exactly. They know that a single smirk or a single moment of hesitation will just be memed into oblivion.
It is honestly terrifying to think that historical legacy might literally be decided by a GIF.
It is terrifying, but that is exactly the era of politics we live in right now.
Okay, so let's just sum all of this up for the listener who just needs the absolute key takeaways from today. What are the 3 big things we learned from this source material?
All right, 3 main points. Number 1, Hillary Clinton basically gave them nothing.
Nothing at all.
She denied criminal knowledge, she denied the island visits, and she admitted only to that limited social contact regarding the wedding.
Right. She built a massive legal wall.
Yep. Point 2, the context of all this is incredibly hostile.
Right.
This deposition only happened because of the very real threat of contempt of Congress charges.
Right. It wasn't a polite chat.
No, it was a forced legal maneuver under threat of jail time.
And then point 3, which is really the big one.
The precedent.
Yeah.
We are right in the middle of a historic 48 hours. Hillary today, former President Bill Clinton tomorrow.
Right.
We're watching this real-time collision of criminal justice and political legacy that we frankly just haven't seen in our lifetimes.
It is going to be a wild 24 hours. We will definitely be watching the reports closely tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't miss it.
And we want to leave you, the listener, with one final provocative thought to mull over. As you watch all the headlines rolling in tomorrow, ask yourself this. In a world totally dominated by visual media, does the actual textual truth matter as much as the visual performance?
Because we're about to see an absolute masterclass in both.
That is the real question to think about.
Truly.
Well, that is it for this deep dive into the Chappaqua deposition. Thanks for listening.
Stay curious.